An Airbus A320 cruising at 38,000 feet over the North Atlantic. The cabin is quiet. A passenger in seat 14B hears a soft chime and assumes it is the seatbelt sign. In the cockpit, the captain has just unmuted the radio, because that chime was the cabin crew telling him a passenger in row 22 has lost consciousness. The chime sounds identical to the seatbelt tone. That is the first lesson of this video. The sounds you hear on a plane are not the sounds you think you hear. There are 6 in particular that pilots are trained to recognize in milliseconds, and that almost every passenger misses entirely, counting down to the one sound every pilot fears. In 6th place, the Airbus A320's barking dog is a sound that startles more passengers than any other. That sharp, rhythmic yelp echoing through the cabin during taxi or after landing is not a sign of trouble. It is the power transfer unit, called the PTU, cycling between the green and yellow hydraulic circuits. The PTU is a bidirectional motor pump located in the wing root, designed to keep both hydraulic systems balanced. When the pressure difference hits about 500 pounds per square inch, the PTU kicks in automatically, spinning up with a burst that can reach 85 to 95 decibels inside the cabin. No insulation, no muffler, just pure mechanical redundancy by design. The bark is most common right after both engines start during the PTU's self-test, or when one engine is idling and the other is running. For pilots, it is a non-event. The ECAM might show the message PTU on, but unless there is a pressure loss or a leak, the only note in the log is that redundancy is working as intended. While the sound can rattle nerves in row 14, it is the quietest entry on this list, proof that not every strange noise at 30,000 feet signals danger. Sometimes it is just a healthy system talking to itself. In the 5th place, 3 sharp chimes cut through the cabin. A rapid ding, ding, ding that means business. This is not the seatbelt sign, and it is not a routine call for coffee. The triple chime is the cabin crew's emergency hotline to the cockpit. When a flight attendant hits the crew call or emergency button on the intercom, the aircraft's public address system sends 3 identical tones, spaced less than a second apart, to both the cabin and the cockpit. In the cockpit, a dedicated CC light labeled Cabin Call flashes, and the radio system unmutes automatically. Pilots are drilled to acknowledge within 5 seconds, then ask, "Cabin, what is the emergency?" No wasted words. The next 30 seconds are a blur: medical kit, security checklist, or a technical issue relayed from the back. Airlines follow strict standard operating procedures: acknowledge, assess, act. Some carriers add a verbal cue or a different chime for fire or smoke, but the triple ding is the universal code for drop everything and listen. Most passengers never realize its meaning, mistaking it for a routine announcement. But for the crew, those 3 chimes can mean a heart attack at 38,000 feet, a suspected bomb, or a cockpit smoke report. The system is designed so that even in a noisy cabin, the triple chime gets immediate attention, louder, quicker, and more urgent than the standard service call. It is a sound that signals human urgency, not a mechanical fault. The triple chime bridges the gap between the cabin and the cockpit, turning a quiet flight into a potential emergency within seconds. For pilots, it is a call to action, rare but never ignored. In 4th place, a dull thump during taxi or the takeoff roll can flip a pilot's world upside down in a heartbeat. This is not the hydraulic bark or a routine chime. It is a physical jolt that cuts through engine noise and cockpit chatter. The source could be anything from foreign object debris, FOD struck by the nose gear, to a tire bursting, a loose cargo pallet slamming the fuselage, or even a bird strike on the gear strut. Every pilot is drilled to call out any abnormal thump the second it is heard. The scan starts instantly: airspeed, brake temperatures, tire pressure, gear indicators. If the sound hits before the 100-knot call-out, the captain may abort the takeoff without hesitation. Above 100 knots, the stakes get higher. Now the crew weighs the risk of stopping against the risk of continuing, with the V1 decision speed looming. The rejected takeoff checklist comes alive. Throttles idle, maximum braking, spoilers deployed, reverse thrust. Air traffic control is notified in seconds. Even if the cabin stays calm, that one thump can mean a blown tire, a damaged wheel hub, or a hidden structural fault, any of which can turn a routine climb into a mayday. For pilots, the thump is a code word for vigilance. It is the sound that says, trust your training and act fast. Every procedure, every drill, is there because someone somewhere once heard that thump and did not ignore it. In third place, a single high-pitched chime at cruising altitude can signal the most critical pressurization failure in commercial aviation, a warning that cost 121 lives on Helios Airways Flight 522. On August 14, 2005, a Boeing 737-300 climbed out of Larnaca with its pressurization switch left in manual mode after maintenance. As the aircraft passed 10,000 feet, the cabin altitude began to rise unchecked. At 12,040 feet, the cabin altitude warning horn sounded, just one sharp tone indistinguishable from the takeoff configuration alert. The cockpit voice recorder captured the confusion. The crew discussed gear and flaps, not oxygen masks. Within minutes, hypoxia set in. The warning tone continued, but the crew lost consciousness and the aircraft flew on autopilot until fuel exhaustion. Every pilot knows this sound is not just another chime, it is the line between routine and catastrophe. The official investigation by the Greek AAIASB found that the identical oral alerts, 200 Hz, 1 second on, 1 second off, blurred the distinction between a configuration error and a life-threatening loss of pressurization. Regulators responded with new rules, distinct cabin altitude warning tones, mandatory checklist callouts for auto-pressurization mode, and enhanced crew resource management training. The Helios disaster rewrote the oral palette for every modern cockpit. Today, a single chime at altitude commands instant action, oxygen masks on, descend below 10,000 feet, and verify the source. It is a lesson written in tragedy, now embedded in every checklist and every training session. For pilots, that chime is never background noise. It is the sound of a system that leaves no room for hesitation. In second place, the cockpit's most critical alarms live behind a locked door, completely inaudible to passengers. The master caution and master warning system is the crew's private code for trouble. One is a single low-pitched chime paired with an amber light, master caution. It signals a non-critical fault, maybe a hydraulic pump, a minor electrical bus, or a sensor out of range. The other is unmistakable, a shrill, repetitive alarm at up to 115 decibels flashing a red master warning light. That's the call for immediate action, fire, engine failure, rapid depressurization, or critical pressurization loss. There is no ambiguity. Each alert is engineered for instant recognition, cutting through engine noise and radio chatter. Pilots are drilled in the simulator to respond within seconds. A master caution means acknowledge, check the ECAM or the EICAS, and start the corresponding checklist, often within a minute. A master warning demands a memory item drill, pull the fire handle, don oxygen masks, or shut down a system, all without reaching for the manual. These alerts are cockpit exclusive. The cabin stays silent, insulated from the urgency on the other side of the door. NASA's Q studies shape the chime and tone to minimize confusion, using color, sound pattern, and light intensity to separate caution from warning. In modern airliners, the master caution and master warning are the backbone of crew resource management. One signals a problem, the other a crisis. For pilots, these sounds are the heartbeat of the flight deck, demanding focus, discipline, and teamwork. They're the last barrier before the most severe alarm in aviation, the one warning that overrides everything else. And finally, in first place, the sound that freezes every pilot mid-sentence. The warning voice is clear. Terrain, terrain, pull up. It is not a beep, not a chime, but a synthetic voice blasted at 120 decibels through cockpit speakers. This is the Ground Proximity Warning System, GPWS, or its modern cousin, the Enhanced Ground Proximity Warning System, GPWS. The moment it sounds, there is no debate, no checklist, no time for second guessing. The only response is maximum thrust, nose up, climb at no less than 3,000 feet per minute. Every airline and every training syllabus drills this escape profile to muscle memory. The system's roots go back to 1974, when the FAA first mandated GPWS after a string of controlled flight into terrain, CFYT, accidents. Early models used radar altimeters, but by 1996, eGPWS arrived, adding a global terrain database and GPS. In March 2000, the FAA made eGPWS mandatory for all turbine aircraft with 6 or more seats. The payoff was a staggering 89% drop in controlled flight into terrain accidents worldwide over the next 2 decades. That is thousands of lives saved by a voice that cuts through everything. Engine roar, radio chatter, even cockpit arguments. The system constantly compares the aircraft's position, altitude, and closure rate against its database. If the closure rate threatens terrain, the warning triggers. The voice is relentless. Pull up, never a suggestion, always a command. Ignore it, and history shows the consequences. Obey, and the odds are overwhelming. You will clear the ridge, the mountain, the unseen obstacle. For pilots, it is the one sound they hope never to hear. For passengers, it is the final firewall, an audible legacy of every lesson aviation has learned the hard way. Every chime, every bark, every alarm in the cabin exists to keep this voice silent. That is the secret at the heart of modern flight. The scariest sound is also the one that has saved more lives than any other. Across all 6 sounds, one fact stands out. Every chime, thump, or alarm, whether 92 decibels in the cockpit or a quiet triple ding, signals a moment pilots must decode instantly. These aren't quirks. They're distilled safety, built from decades of black box data and regulatory pain. Aviation never leaves safety to chance.